Hi, my name is Alexandra McHugh. This is my case study 1 project presentation on the BACB 5th edition task list items B5 through B6, B11, and B12. The client description, the client name, her pseudonym for this project will be Charlotte. Her age is 5 years old. Her diagnosis is sensory neural hearing loss bilateral, which is profoundly deaf, and autism, and the behavior of concern for this project is self-biting and self-gagging. So visual graphs, you'll see that for 8.7, there was kind of a spike in her self-biting. It was either tolerating or denied access. That would be further down. So I can kind of go into that later. But you'll see it kind of go up again when the phone was withheld. This essentially has decreased and been replaced with functional communication training entirely. But I wanted to kind of go in depth more about the toleration programs and the importance of that. So when she returned from vacation, we saw an increase in self-gagging, which only we saw when she would take a bath. If she did so, she would either because she would have a BMA or self-regulate. There was a period of time she was doing that with mom for. Mom withheld the phone during session as of 8:30, so you saw kind of another spike in self-gagging, but I think this kind of accidentally negatively punished the behavior. So possible reinforcement and punishment contingencies that may have led to problem behavior B4 and B6. Positive reinforcement, she gives her the phone. It's fear-based. She doesn't want the behavior to continue, so she negatively reinforces her own behavior by giving her what she wants to get the behavior to stop more quickly rather than working through it and trying to find a replacement for that. She's been kind of afraid to run or to allow me to teach her toleration in regards to denied access and waiting because of this. So I did have to do a parent training last Friday on this, and she did kind of essentially buy in and consent because it is child-led, and I do kind of observe and gauge when she's in HRE and assenting to treatment. So she now is allowing us to use the phone again. Assessment, intervention, and schedules of reinforcement, B5. So ABC data collection, narratives, parent interviews. Those were the assessments that were ran. Functional analysis wasn't because that's unethical. Functional communication training. I'm on a time budget, so I'm kind of going quick. Functional communication training, shaping denied access and waiting. Non-contingent reinforcement for sensory-related input, because sometimes it is automatic. Differential reinforcement, because she also pinched too, but I didn't add that to the presentation for too long. Differential reinforcement for any and all desirable behaviors. Generalized conditioned reinforcers. Edible reinforcement to ease transition away from a highly preferred activity. Unconditioned reinforcers within the natural environment when requesting manning for items such as food, drink, etc. Otherwise, she's on a continuous schedule of reinforcement whenever she's communicating outside of the phone and like waiting for food naturally and stuff like that. So she's also on an S delta for dairy because her intake's a little high, so to create stimulus control. That's for another task list, I guess. Motivating operations, B12. Using the phone as reinforcement due to its potency, it increases the EO for toleration of denied access and waiting. Bringing Shaun the Sheep related items to increase clients' willingness to engage in assent to treatment throughout session is the MO. My phone has a Shaun the Sheep on YouTube for kids, so that's like the main thing. Using marshmallows to help ease the transition, as it is an incompatible biting self and gagging, and it's potent enough to kind of distract her interest from the phone. And then she kind of just routinely now goes outside because she's conditioned once she gets the marshmallow, that's done. So I'm not offering the client food rate for her, like when she gets home, to increase motivation to communicate her wants and needs. This can also create opportunities to contrive waiting and tolerating denied access. That would serve as the abolishing operation because it satiates her. Generalization and maintenance of treatment, B11. So generalization and maintenance, one can happen without the other, but one cannot happen without the other. So generalization, although you can generalize, it might not maintain, but if it maintains, it will generalize. So generalization, parents will be used to generalize across settings within the home and community. Staff will target this with the natural environment as well to increase probability of discrimination and generalization. So it also decreases the likelihood to target generalization, because if it is a need to target, then that's when it can become tricky at times. School will do this naturally when being denied something she's requesting or wants to do that's not available. Having as many people incorporate this will help reduce the need for generalization, like I said earlier. And generalization is typically evident once the client can emit a trained or replacement behavior in times where they do not have to be completely retrained because it is maintained. So the client will be able to maintain and continuously perform the skill over time once all teaching has ceased. Probing these skills should be done at least once a week for this client particularly, and then once bi-weekly to incorporate maintenance of these skills. Sometimes the client becomes very routine and prompt dependent, so if it's not consistently or naturally promoted through life, then she might lose the skill a little easier. Once toleration skills are considered mastered, these skills should be probed at least once a month for this client specifically. Like I said earlier, the more this is incorporated in her natural environment across all settings in her life that are socially significant, these toleration behaviors should maintain. The outcomes of this intervention, an extinction burst obviously occurred, so I did scale back and just kind of restarted with tolerating no, because we started her initially at tolerating no with an alternative, and I'm just going to work very slow and steady with her because I think she has very low trust and rapport with people. It did take me a while to have instructional control of any kind, and compliance tasks were very difficult. So far she can also wait up to 30 seconds, sorry, which before was not possible. So in school she could, at home she couldn't. Wasn't generalizing because it wasn't really being targeted. And mom just gives her whatever when she engaged in problem behavior. So as you can see, tolerating denied access, it kind of dipped right before she went on vacation, and then it definitely wasn't maintained or any better when she got back. So I did scale it back because this is also when she was self-gagging. And that's why I chose to scale it back, because I do not want self-gagging to be reinforced whatsoever. And then we also reinforced incompatible behavior of drinking juice. So for waiting, this has been kind of good. She kind of got stuck at 15 seconds for a little bit. I think there was a lack of consistency there within the home. And naturally, she's been doing a lot better. And now she's at 30. When the phone was allowed as reinforcement and withheld, there was kind of a little dip. But other than that, she kind of went right back on track. I hope you enjoyed my presentation.